Hey guys, that's right, this is the new 2019 Chevy Colorado ZR2 Bison. Is this the most capable off-road truck out there for the mid-size class? Well, I took it on a fairly challenging rock crawl here in Arizona at a Chevrolet event. And you'll just have to wait and see how it does. We're here at the most difficult section. This is a pretty tough rock crawl. We are just east of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm in the Bison, and this is my chance to let you guys know some of the driving impressions. It's basically a ZR2, right? And interestingly enough, it's not meant to be like the end-all ZR2. It's a little different character. This truck is more meant for sort of long distance expeditions, not outright rock crawling or desert racing. That's why it has the heavy, really strong bumpers and skid plates. This truck is meant to get you to your destination. I've got my rear locker enabled. We're basically going half mile an hour here. Okay, I think I'm using my rock slider. And that's why these components are there, is to protect from damage. And I kind of wanted you to see on this off-road screen in the center, in the gauge cluster, kind of what the truck is doing. And I'm basically using still brake and gas. So I'm driving, I'm trying to do a two-pedal approach so I can maintain some of the momentum, but also go very slowly. Since the Bison starts out as a ZR2, you still get the ZR2 suspension setup. It means the truck suspension is 3.5 inches wider than a regular Colorado Z71 4x4. Chevrolet says the ZR2 also has 2 inches more ground clearance than a standard Colorado 4-wheel drive. The ZR2 Bison still has DSSV spool valve shock absorbers that offer more controlled and firm ride on pavement, but also an improved ride on washboard dirt roads and many other conditions. The Colorado ZR2 has a 30-degree approach angle and 23.5 degrees of departure. The guys at AEV say that the unique front bumper decreases the approach angle just by a little bit, but it's because it has space to accept a winch. On the flip side, the Bison front bumper offers end caps, and Chevrolet says the aerodynamics are a little bit better than a standard ZR2. The extra Bison components, the bumpers and the skid plates, add about 200 pounds to the total curb weight of the truck. Chevrolet did not update the MPG estimates specifically for the Bison, so the rating will be the same as with a ZR2 truck. 17 mpg combined for the gas V6 and 19 mpg combined for the diesel. He's telling me to go very slowly. Okay, so I'm now looking at my next spotter, and so far I just touched one rock slider on the passenger side. So I'm gonna kind of climb here, and now I'm climbing a boulder. This is a great test of clearance and approach and departure angles. This is very technical, guys. The truck is handling it well. I feel like I have a lot of control still, so I can control my speed. I never think that I'm stuck. How much does the Bison cost? The starting price for the Bison is $48,045. That is $5,750 more than the ZR2 it's based on. The AEV snorkel, beadlock capable wheels, winch, and other accessories are all extra. So this is the test of the front bumper. So I hit the front bumper just a bit. Now I'm crawling. I'm still following spotter instruction. I'm really gonna kind of straddle this rock. And that was a rock slider. That's the second rock slider. Right? Can you hear that? And that's what rock sliders are for. It's protecting the body of the truck. The truck went over some serious rocks today, and you can see some of the evidence from the rock sliders on the side and also some of the front bumpers, but it's just scratches in the steel components. You can actually just paint over it and nobody will ever know that you've been to the middle of nowhere and back.
The bumper has a skid plate that starts to wrap under the car, and that's actually a cold stamp skid. From there back, so that's about the first 6 inches. From there back, the front suspension's covered with a boron skid. Yes. The transmission has an optional tubular skid that's not boron. We didn't do a boron skid on the transmission because of the amount of material that can package in there for certain customers in certain geographic locations. So we left that as an option. If you move back to the transfer case, that's a full boron skid. On the diesels, that actually protects the fuel filters as well. Okay. If you move back from there, we did a gas tank skid, which the gas tank's primarily supported by the frame rail. It's not very prone to damage, but it is prone to possibly being cut. Okay. So on the skid tank we did, or on the fuel tank, we did a very thin skid. I think it's only one point something millimeters. Okay. And it's mostly for anti-cut, so that the rocks can't cut the fuel tank. And there is some additional bracing for the fuel pump itself to protect the fuel pump. Okay. And then from there we did a differential slider, which allows a lot of times the differential will get held up on rocks and sometimes peel the differential cover off. So we did a differential slider that's 2.5 millimeters thick and also protects the front U-joint on the drive shaft. Okay. So what other accessories? Can you mention like some of the other things you have? So kind of on the aftermarket side, we did a snorkel with your optional ram air or pre-filter. Cyclonic pre-filter. If you live in a really dusty environment, the cyclonic pre-filter is awesome. But the snorkel in general, really meant for dust. A lot of people think, oh, this is for water. I'm never going to go in the water up to my windshield, but it's really for dust. But it will work for water too, especially if you're just dropping into a little creek. You don't think you're going to go over your airbox. Something splashing. Yeah, but you really could go over your airbox really quickly, even in a relatively shallow creek if it's a steep angle. So a little bit of added insurance there. And then we also did a different wheel that has a true beadlock function. And that's an additional accessory? Yeah, it is an accessory, yeah.
What does the Bison compete against? It has to be the new 2019 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. The most off-road worthy Tacoma is another popular overland adventure truck. The TRD Pro offers Fox off-road shocks, an optional snorkel-type air intake, and a crawl control system. The Tacoma TRD Pro starts at $42,660 before destination and can be optioned to about $47,000. While the Tacoma offers a handy crawl control system, it does not provide the same amount of underbody protection, a front locker, or a turbo diesel engine option. If you want the extra equipment on the ZR2 Bison, you'll have to pay more, but you will get more. Can the Bison rock crawl? Hell yeah. Yes, it can. Can it run fast on a dirt road or washed out section, yes. But more than that, it gives you the extra protection and confidence. This is a gas V6 powered Bison, and the exhaust pipe is actually tucked way under here behind the rear bumper, and it survived today with no issue whatsoever. A lot of the viewers out there, when the news first came out of the Bison, they said, well, you know, they wanted a giant V8 engine in there, and they wanted big tires, and they really wanted to go full on. What is some of the trade-off there?
You know, I think it's interesting because I was at the Overland Expo.
Yes.
And this spring, actually, I think I saw you there.
Yeah, I was there too.
Yep. Yeah, and Dave Harrington and I walked around and we were talking to folks, and there was already an influx of ZR2 diesel ZR2s into that community because the pulling power and that low end torque and the fuel and the very long range capability of a diesel engine, that seems to be the powertrain of choice for overlanders. So I think that the combination with these skid plates, the boron steel skid plates, and steel bumpers really kind of lines itself up better with the diesel powertrain.
So it's not a matter of like all-out desert racer. I mean, it's not the intent right for this vehicle. Right. The intent is more like long-distance travel, adventure type stuff.
Right, and safety and security. Like if you're 2 days in the middle of nowhere, that you don't get, you don't put a rock through your fuel tank and find yourself sitting there for the next 2 days waiting for somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
What about some of the other accessories like rack systems? I mean, are you seeing Chevrolet kind of going there as well?
Yeah, that's a good point. With the expansion of our accessory lineup for the Chevy Colorado, we have some parts, and one of the trucks that's in front of us actually has some of these accessories that we feel fit really well in the overlanding. Whether it be the decked pull-out tray system for the bed, or the Thule carrier rack basket. Yeah. The combination of those parts we feel are going to be perfect for somebody that really wants to get involved in the overland.
The ZR2 is already a very capable off-road truck with front and rear lockers and rock sliders, but the Bison just takes that level of confidence for off-roading and protection against rocks to the next level. When I was on the trail today, I was completely confident in the truck and what I was doing, because I knew if I was to rub, part of the bumper or a rock slider on the side, on the back, or the skid plates underneath, I knew it was a really strong steel and I was not gonna hurt anything. And at the end of the day, it got me back out with no issue. Go back to tfltruck.com for more news, views, and real-world reviews.